are to hear from Portland residents their concerns and recommendations regarding implementation of the settlement agreement and related issues, and to incorporate what they hear into the recommendations and advice that they provide to the Portland Police Bureau, the City of Portland, the Department of Justice, the COAB, regarding the policies and the ways to implement the settlement agreement. The purpose of Community Oversight Advisory Board meetings is the orderly consideration of the public's business as it relates to the settlement agreement between the City of Portland and the US Department of Justice. Preservation of order and decorum is necessary for due consideration of matters before the COAB. The public is welcome to attend COAB meetings. During the COAB meetings, there will be time-limited opportunities for public comment. Public testimony on an agenda item should address the matter being considered. Other options for later testimony are emails, snail mail. When testifying, please state your name for our records. We do not need your address. Unless otherwise informed, each community member will have 2 to 3 minutes to speak to the COAB. At the end of that time, a signal will sound to signify to the person speaking that she or he has reached the time limit and it is now time for the next person to speak. Please respect the time limit so that there is enough time to hear from each person who has signed up to speak. Please testify only to the matter at hand. COAB rules of procedure seek to preserve the public order, to ensure that the COAB's deliberations proceed efficiently, and that those who want to contribute have the opportunity to be heard. Behavior that disrupts the meeting from its purpose by interrupting either testimony or deliberations is not allowed. You may show support or displeasure with your hands, wave, thumbs up, thumbs down, etc. You're free to film COAB meetings. A section of the seating area has been set aside for those who want to film a COAB meeting, and we ask that you sit in that section. This will minimize the distractions that are sometimes caused by those filming. And if while filming you would like to speak at the same time, we will make a provision to hand you a microphone so that you can stay in the filming area and speak also. And you'll still be limited to 3 minutes. This is a warning that anyone disrupting this procedure may be escorted from the COAB meeting and excluded from the remainder of that meeting. Next, Mandy.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Yes. Thank you for being here. Just a few quick announcements. As many of you probably know, there are restrooms just outside this door. And I also like to make people aware of emergency exits. We actually have one directly to the right of this door. There are some stairs with it, though, so if you don't want to use stairs, just walk all the way down this hallway to your right, and there will be another exit there. I also wanted to introduce, as we always do, Brad Taylor, who is our mental health specialist. So if there's any kind of support that anyone in the room needs this evening, you can go and speak with Brad. And I also want to make sure that everyone is aware that we do have childcare that can be available should anyone need it. And I do need some notice in order to make that happen. But if you can get in touch with me, ideally within 10 days of a meeting, I can make sure that you have childcare. And just quickly, my phone number is 503-823-5149, and that's it. Thank you.
I wanted to introduce the latest addition to our office, Cody, who I can't see. Cody? Well, this is Cody. This is the newest addition to our office. Thank you, Cody.
I do have one more announcement.
Okay, go ahead.
I knew I was forgetting something. I just wanted to make everyone aware there's an error in the agenda packet. It's more administrative than anything else, but to be very clear, we misnumbered the recommendations for this evening. So the recommendations, as they will be in order in the packet, will be SA1-1, SA1-1, SA1-2, SA1-3, SA1-4. Those are all semi-annual compliance report recommendations. Our final recommendation for this evening comes from the Data Systems Committee, and that is 051216-1. So you don't really have to worry about those things. I will fix them. Just wanted to make sure it was clear in the packet. So thanks.
V. Revere will be participating via live stream tonight. So she'll text Mandy or Amy on her votes. Excused absences tonight, Senator Abel Gordley, Captain Vince Elmore, Tasha Hager, Lieutenant Tasha Hager, Officer Kari Jackson, and Rabbi Kahana will either be late or not here at all. Tonight we're going to look at recommendations that have to do with the COCO's draft semi-annual compliance report, and we'll have subcommittee chairs report out. There'll be a general public comment area. Comment time at about 6:15, and then we'll take a break. We'll then discuss the recommendation from the Data Systems Use of Force and Compliance Subcommittee, and we will adjourn at about 7:30 tonight so that the COAB people interested in the Speakers Bureau will have about an hour to do some training on that, being on that bureau. Okay? So let's start with the compliance report. SA1, the recommendation is the names and title of people interviewed for the semi-annual compliance report are included in the report. It is recommended that the names and title of people interviewed for the semi-annual compliance report are included in the report. And did you want to say something about that?
No, not unless there were questions.
Any questions? Any discussion?
I'd move to a vote.
Well, let's see if we can, if there's anybody from the public that wants to comment on this. Am I missing someone here?
Yeah.
Tom?
Yeah. Well, I think it's been a consistent concern of the community as well as people on the COAB that the COCO is not identifying individuals in their reports, whether they be Bureau members or community members, and I think it is contrary to the notion of transparency and getting at issues and being clear. And so I would urge not only this recommendation, but other prior recommendations about transparency be approved.
Did we have a sign-up sheet for this recommendation? Mr. Handelman.
Hi, good evening. I'm Dan Handelman with Portland Cop Watch, and I want to express support for this particular recommendation. It was something that I mentioned last time during public comment. I would urge you to amend this, though, to say names and titles of people interviewed for or mentioned in the semi-annual compliance report, so that if there are positions such as the inspector or whatever that wasn't interviewed for the report, that those names will still be included in the report so that people can understand who that is. And I just want to express support for your other recommendations, because I'm not going to keep getting up and down, taking up more time. So I thought I'd support them all right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Mr. Johnson.
Good evening. Thank you all for your service, and I want to appreciate the people who brought this forth. It is kind of surprising that this recommendation even needs to be made. I can see some situations where there would be advantages to having a procedure where officers could anonymously raise dissent or concerns. But for the most part, I think that for anybody to do their job, the Department of Justice, the Portland Police, it's really essential to have names and titles. Sometimes we're a little bit presumptuous. We know that we all come here with our own biases, some of us for or against the police. And we want to not have those contaminate our evaluation of facts, but it's still good to have the greater context. And I look forward to you adopting this recommendation so that we'll know if a person, not just if a person is in the police department, but what the nature of their role is. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Further COAB discussion? Sharon? And then Bud?
Can I make, I would move that we amend, can I do this? I agree with Mr. Handelman's suggested amendment, and I would move that we amend so that this reads, recommend that the names and title of people interviewed for or mentioned in the semi-annual compliance report are included in the report.
As you
Yeah, second.
What I would suggest is that it simply be a friendly amendment to the committee that submitted this, and then we can do it all at once, if you accept that amendment.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. So then that friendly amendment is already accepted by the chair who made the amendment, and now I think we can move on with the motion. And I think I had a motion from Philip, but I had a hand from Bud.
Just a quick question. This is the kind of thing that seems like a no-brainer to me. It's obvious that we should be doing it. Is there someone from COCO who could give an idea as to why we don't or shouldn't?
One of the reasons that we don't necessarily add those names is we're talking to people in their roles, so the role is more important than the specific individual. The other issue is that we want to make sure that people feel safe being very open and frank with us, so that they're not worrying about if they're really frank that somehow something's going to be attached to their name that's going to be creating a problem later. And we also feel that the information we get is the most important piece, not necessarily the name of the person who gave it.
Further discussion? We have a motion on the floor to accept this proposal. Do I have a second? Second from Kat? Okay. I'm going to call the roll. Huh? Philip. Okay, and Kat seconded. And if I could see that. Pulis.
Aye.
Gardner.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Curley.
Aye.
Lanford. Medina.
Aye.
Myron.
Aye.
Moreland Kapua.
Yes.
Revere. Silver.
Aye.
Steenson.
Aye.
Wolf.
Yes.
Motion carried. The second recommendation to be considered, SA 1-2. Recommend, this is from the Mental Health Subcommittee again, recommends that the COCO consider a structure for each paragraph, what we're looking for, what we found, the requirements for helping PPB move forward, towards greater compliance, and what's yet to be assessed. Would you like, please, to say some more about this?
Yeah, I actually would. So as we were reviewing, I think this is sort of a consistent recommendation that we've made, sort of trying to find ways to clearly communicate the progress and so that it kind of makes sense and it's trackable over time with the quarterly reports. And so the reason we broke it down this way is that there, for instance, for example, there are portions of the settlement agreement that call for a policy to be in place and some sort of practice or some movement towards enacting that policy. And there were instances where the Portland Police Bureau had done fabulous job of getting the policy in place, but had not yet moved towards the employment of that policy. And so we were also thinking, Ime and I mainly sitting around the table sort of co-conspiring in a good way, that it might be helpful to break it up in that way to say, in terms of the policy provision or portion of the, as indicated by the settlement agreement, PPB is in compliance. And in terms of the employment or the employment of the policy, not yet assessed. Because you've been giving, in some cases, there were instances of partial compliance where it kind of didn't make sense and it was inconsistent. So there were places where they had a policy in place. We just think that there's some instances where we could be a little clearer with that. So, and then as you break down those paragraphs, as we suggested here, try to make it very clear, it'd just be nice to have a structure. This is what we were looking for. This is what we found. These are the things that will help very clearly, so I think it'll help the PPB as well. Here are the things that PPB can be doing to move towards greater compliance. It's as simple as that. We were just structurally struggling a little bit as we went through, and our group went through the whole compliance report. We broke it up into sections, and we went through the whole thing in the context of our subcommittee meeting. So,
Any public comment on this issue? There's no one signed up?
You may.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I would just add that there were places in the report that said partial compliance when actually there was no information to review. And so that was the other reason why we wanted this clarity, because there is no compliance if there is no review. But there's also not non-compliance if there's nothing to review, right? So just to add that is also there.
Thank you. Right. Now, no one has signed up for public comment on this issue. Is there anyone who would like to comment? Okay. So, any more discussion?
Well, I move to vote.
Phillips moved to vote on this. Do I have a second, please? The second is Sharon. Let's call the roll again if I can see it. Okay. Pulis.
Aye.
Gardner.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Curley.
Aye.
Blanford.
Aye.
Medina.
Aye.
Myron.
Aye.
Moreland Copua.
yes.
Revere. Silver.
Aye.
Steenson.
Aye.
Wolf.
Yes.
Do we have a response from V on the previous?
It was a yes on the previous.
Okay. Thank you. The next one. SA 1-3, add review of family care CCO agendas for paragraph 90, page 25 of the semi-annual compliance report. Would you address this, including tell us what CCO is?
Yeah, so CCO is a coordinated care organization, and we have a few of them, but our main CCOs here in the county is Health Share of Oregon and Family Care, and then Care Oregon does the physical health arm. It's attached to Health Share of Oregon, but Ime actually pointed out that in the, and I'll let her speak to this, that in the actual report it only makes mention of Health Share of Oregon and does not include family care. So I'll let Ime speak to that.
I actually already talked to Amy about this, but throughout the report it refers to Health Share, and there's no reference to family care. So on page 25, paragraph 90, it says that the Health Share agendas have been reviewed, but there's no mention of family care agendas. So in our subcommittee, Tasha mentioned that maybe there aren't agendas, that the agendas, there are none available. And so they do meet. I don't know if they are generating agendas for those meetings, but they should be available. So actually the recommendation was so that wherever Health Share is in this report, family care should also be. So if something's being reviewed from Health Share, something should be reviewed from family care. Just because they're smaller doesn't mean that they aren't a huge provider in the state.
Okay. I have Mr. Johnson signed up. Are you adding to the explanation of the recommendation?
I just have a clarification question. So for the CCOs, in the settlement agreement, it says the CCOs will immediately create addictions and mental health focused subcommittees. And obviously, if we're talking about CCOs, we should include the relevant CCOs. But what authority does the settlement agreement have over the CCOs? It doesn't seem like it's just out of curiosity. Okay. Okay.
But you have a number of, on the behavioral health
Use your mic,
unit
please.
advisory board. Oh, yeah, okay. My voice carries, but let's get to the next one. On the behavioral health unit advisory board, my understanding is that you have some members represented from the CCOs on that advisory council.
Mm-hmm.
Is that how you were at? Is that how you gained access? I mean, what was the process for gaining access?
We get access to some of the agendas from EBB,
Okay.
in terms of the materials that they use when they're going through and looking at the clients. Tom did do some interviews initially with some people from family care and health care in Oregon. And it's something we probably need to in one of the resources a little bit more deeply in. And part of the reason we haven't spent as much time is because we wanted to look at other things, and the settlement agreement, the difficult thing is that it has
Got it. Okay.
Okay, great. We wanted to remind you, or I got reminded to ask you to use the mic if you're going to talk, okay? So now I have from the public signed up Mr. Johnson.
Good evening again, and thank you for delving into the acronym soup and stuff that we who are on the Oregon Health Plan deal with, the CCOs, of whether we're family care or health share. It might, I don't know, you might want to maybe wait and talk with your author if it's easier to only refer to CCO type organizations in the report and then footnote whatever ones may be operating. Some may be bankrupting or restructuring by the time the next report comes out. So I don't have a strong opinion on this, except that I do think I'm glad to hear paragraph 90 on page 25, so that those of us who are engaged in service advocacy have one more point to discuss, that we can actually, when we're assigned to a CCO, can research the board members and ask them, hey, we're trying to make it possible for the police to do their job with lower violence, less fatality. Are you adequately engaging with the different structures that are there? Things with gets confusing because we have a BHU that, I guess, so officially now BHU is actually a BHU, which is totally contained within the police department, correct?
The behavioral health unit?
Yeah, addictions and behavioral health unit, according to the paragraph 90.
The settlement The settlement agreement text uses slightly different terminology than the actual name of the unit. So that's where the discrepancy comes in.
No problem.
Thank you. More discussion. Do I have a motion? Dr. Myron?
I move that we accept the recommendation as submitted.
Second.
Who was the real second here? I heard somebody else. Tom? Okay.
Me, Philip.
All right. We're going to call the roll. Pulis.
Aye.
Gardner.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Curley.
Aye.
Lanford. Medina.
Aye.
Myron.
Aye.
Moreland Kapua.
Yes.
Revere.
Aye.
Silver.
Aye.
Steenson.
Aye.
Wolf.
Yes.
Motion passes. The fourth one here, SA1-4, is from the Use of Force Subcommittee. The recommendation is the ratings in the COCO semi-annual compliance assessment are too generous. In particular, use of partial compliance in paragraph 69, 70, 72, 76, 81, 82, 96, 109, 116, 119, 120, 130, 131, and 152. The COCO should agree to re-examine each of these paragraphs and assign more appropriate, such as actions taken, not yet assessed, or not in compliance. That is the recommendation. Would you like to speak to that, Tom?
Sure. This is similar to sort of the context of the mental health review and what May addressed earlier. And primarily the work on this recommendation was done by Dr. Silver. And as she gets back in the room and you have questions, I would suggest she address the questions. But this is at least the second time that the concern has been expressed that the COCO is giving the Bureau a free ride and giving partial compliance ratings where there's no information presented to allow any kind of compliance, or it looks like they're in non-compliance, and they simply should reassess and make those ratings consistent. And I recognize Dr. Rosenbaum's comments at a recent COAB meeting where he suggested that the Bureau is taking a position that they're in compliance and therefore they're caught in between or something like that, if I understood his presentation correctly. But I know from our subcommittee's point of view, it's important that the ratings be accurate, and we simply did not think they were accurate, in particular regarding these paragraphs.
Did you want to say anything about that, Amy?
I wasn't at the last meeting, so I'm not sure what Dennis said, but we're not really bound to PPB's assessment of their own compliance. So we'll try to look at, but we will go through and look at all the paragraphs that you noted, and we'll take a look at how we assessed it and consider it. Without spending some time going through it, I can't say more than that right now.
Thanks.
Thank
Amy.
you.
Public comment sign up by Mr. Johnson.
I love this one. I'm Charles Johnson. It was discussed. I didn't speak on the one with the Mental Health Committee because I think these really conflate into the same concern. It's a difficult thing, even if people think of me as an anti-police voice. If there's no activity in an area, it's hard for them to speak or easy for them to claim compliance. But I do think that some additional language is something that y'all should strive for that says existing, especially we have this one committee that has data statistics, blah, blah, compliance or something in it. And the presentation from R&W is that they're data-based. And so when you have a null set, you need to, make that part of the research and to say, no information, but there are policies, and they can make it as beautiful as they want. They can say, out of 600,000 citizens in Portland, nobody complained about this policy or said we violated it, and they can call that compliance. And you can decide, but I do think that language, since there's 14 paragraphs that caught the eye of various participants in the COAB, I do think if you can improve your language, either with a breakout report, appendix, it sounds like there could be a movement in here for a minority report, where the people are able to, the voices that maybe went along with consensus but still think there are concerns could address those particular paragraphs, and it could make it into the annual report. I would be most pleased if that's how our taxpayer dollars were expended in working with the COAB. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Christoph.
I just wanted to say something real quick about, it goes to both points. So last time we had done this report, you all had asked about, is there a way that you can say our rating is based on this, this, and this? And so one of the ways that we try to do is by adding that last part in there saying it's based on that. And when reading that, so I'm looking at 109, which was one of the ones on the list, provision of documents that should also be read, and maybe it's something that we could have clarified. We read the documents, PPB provided it, and we read it, and from our reading of those, we saw a step. So that was one way that we had tried to address this. I'm not saying we succeeded, but it was one way that we are trying to attempt to do that.
Thank you, Tom. COAB, discussion? Bud, Philip? Oh, don't fight, guys.
So, a question for either Tom or Rochelle. Based on what we've already approved from the Mental Health Subcommittee, is this still an issue, or is it covered pretty much by what we've already approved?
It's still an issue. I think that the Mental Health Committee asked that they be written in a certain way, but we're asking that the COCO this time go back and look at these 14 or 15 items. When it was brought up at our last COAB meeting, Dennis Rosenbaum said, well, we understand that you don't think it meets the requirements for partial compliance, and the police think it meets the requirements for more than partial compliance, and we're satisfied, is what he said. And our committee is just asking the COCO to please go back and look at these 15 items, to review them, to make sure that it does meet the standards of partial compliance, and maybe write it in a way that it would show the community how it meets that standard. Thank you.
That help? More discussion?
I guess I'm just curious. I mean, I hear Rochelle's point. I think we kind of made some robust recommendations for the format and ways to change. And I don't know that this necessarily needs to be a recommendation per se, but a guide specifically. Now you know the ones that you can go back to take a look at. I don't know that it needs to be voted on as a recommendation. I don't know. That's just my thought.
I move to adopt the recommendation.
Okay.
Second.
Is there more discussion from the COAB?
I just have a question. Can you just read this one more time, because mine is cut off, and so before we vote, I would like to know what I'm voting on. So just that last sentence after all the numbers.
Okay. The COCO should agree to re-examine each of these paragraphs and assign more appropriate, mine is not.
It should be ratings.
Ratings such as steps taken, not yet assessed, or not in compliance.
Thank you.
Okay, I have a motion on the floor, and I heard a second. Who was the second? Or did I hear a second? Philip was the second. Okay. Is there any more discussion? I will now call the roll. Pulis.
Aye.
Gardner.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Curley.
Aye.
Lanford.
Aye.
Medina.
Aye.
Myron.
Abstain.
Moreland Kapua.
Abstain.
Gravier. Silver.
Aye.
Steenson.
Aye.
Wolf.
Aye.
Looks like it carried. I'm waiting for that green line. Is it going to show up? Yep. Green line says motion carried.
Great.
All right. Thank you. Going to move now into subcommittee reports. Going to start with Bud Pulis on the executive committee.
So in the last executive committee, we focused on budget. which we are continuing to work on with Mandy in hopes of submitting them in time for City Council's budget cycle.
Can't really hear you, Bud.
Okay, sorry. We talked about budget and preparing for the City Council review cycle for budget. And I'm going to be working with Mandy on preparing that for review by the chairs of the subcommittees to make sure that we've captured everything that they feel they need to operate efficiently. We talked about reporting and communications and the concern from COAB about making that less burdensome as a process. And Amy suggested, and I'll be working with Amy on the idea of how we can just work this into the meeting notes so there will be no duplication of effort and it'll be less burdensome. We also agreed that we will raise up a recommendation relating to selection of COAB members. And finally, we are looking at this large volume of documents ranging from the new Ferguson Agreement to the UN document on humane policing, 21st century policing, so many others, and how the Executive Committee can engage to make sure that we take account of those things, and whether we make recommendations ourselves or whether we ask the subcommittees to take a look at these things for us. So that's probably going to be something we look at very closely in the next meeting. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Bud. The Mental Health Subcommittee?
So in our prior subcommittee, there's a lot that happened. In our March meeting, I think it was March, we reviewed and made recommendations on the semi-annual COCL report, and how we did that is I thought it was actually pretty cool. We divided up the pages, so we each broke up into groups and took 10 pages and reviewed them and then came back together. Probably the most efficient process I've ever seen, but we got to get through the whole report and get folks' thought on it, which was really good. And you've heard some of those recommendations that spun from that today. At our April meeting, which was last week, we endeavored to engage the public on the three big questions as outlined by the community engagement team. And in those three big questions, we did some problem solving about how we might be able to get those questions out to the Greater Mental Health Committee. And we are lucky in the subcommittee, in our Mental Health Crisis Response Subcommittee, we have departments or programs, organizations represented from large community behavioral health agencies. So I thought we did a pretty good job of problem solving how we get those out, how we get them back, how we talk about them, which was really good. And I think we'll get a pretty sufficient response in terms of hearing from consumers and folks with lived experience around mental illness and mental health crisis, which is great. The other thing that we had a chance to do in our meeting, which I thought was rather productive, is to take some time to debrief the presentation that Dr. Rosenbaum gave and to react to it and to hear from both the public and from the COAB members. And then we use that discussion sort of as the backdrop to talk about how we operate as a COAB and how we aspire to operate as a COAB in terms of being collegial and respectful and as we engage and as we all might have different opinions. So I thought it was rather productive, and that's pretty much the summary of what we've done in the last 2 months.
Thank you. Accountability.
Yes, this is Philip. I'm the chair of the Accountability Subcommittee. We've had 4 meetings thus far, and this last meeting was this last Tuesday. There were a lot of voting members who were absent due to illness who couldn't attend the meeting, so a lot of COAB members didn't come, and one of our presentation speakers couldn't come as well, so I was pretty much left as the only voting member, but we had a great discussion, and we kind of envisioned what does it mean, accountability, and what does that really mean, because everyone has varying definitions and opinions of what that word means, and so we used it as an opportunity to get to know each other and have a better idea of why we were here for this related to the Accountability Subcommittee and what we wanted to work on. One thing that I'm working on is reviewing national standards I'm trying to remember the exact language used. National standards for policing. And I'm reviewing those documents. It's a very thick document, about 150 pages. It's hefty. So I'm reviewing that and breaking that into different parts that we can actually use to apply to our subcommittee meeting and give those out to people. So that's a process that I'm working on currently. I think that's pretty much it. I'm hopeful that next month we will have Derek Rodriguez come to present. So I'm really hoping he's difficult to book. So hopefully he'll be available to come present to our meeting. That's it. Thank you very much.
Mr. Wolf, what will Mr. Rodriguez present on?
He'll be giving a presentation about different things regarding accountability. So, yeah.
Thank you. Mr. Steenson, Use of Force Subcommittee.
Yes. As the COAB knows, we completed a very laborious process reviewing force policies by the Bureau. And the subcommittee really thanks the COAB and the community for all the work that went into that over the past 6 months or so. With that in mind, we've now moved on to looking at use of force training. And I can say historically, the Bureau has been unwilling to share training materials or concepts or ideas with the public. And we've made, I think, substantial progress in the last several months in being able to obtain training plans and lesson plans and materials that hopefully will help us evaluate whether the training that's being provided is consistent with what the policies are and consistent with what the community and the COAB ultimately will think that the training ought to look like. It's going to be a substantial amount of work, but we're making progress in that area. The other thing that we're doing, and it was kind of on the back burner for some months because of pressures of time and so forth, but we're beginning to look at data systems, and without getting into specifics, one of the couple concepts, I guess, are transparency and trying to open up the data that the Police Bureau collects and making it more available to the public and making it more available in a way that the public can understand. Essentially trying to make it more transparent so that not only the COAB but the public can weigh in on whether the data that they're collecting supports what their policies and training are supporting. For example, use of force data, stops data, probably EIS data to some degree. And again, it's been an area where historically it's been somewhat closed off, but to the Bureau's credit, it's improving. But there's, I think, substantial steps that need to be taken in opening it up and expanding the disclosures so that the public can evaluate the effectiveness of the policy and the training and accountability systems that are in place. And we're working on that, but it's a work in progress.
Thank you. Community engagement, Mr. Johnson.
Hey, good afternoon. My name is Jimmy Johnson. I'm the chairperson for the Community Engagement Outreach Plan. And, it's rolling. We're working as hard as we can to get things off the ground, get things really rolling. One of the things we talked about, and we're still working on right now, is the Speakers Bureau. Is getting a number of people who are willing to be engaged in the Speakers Bureau and going out into the community and talking about what the COAB is about for us, working with the PPB, COCO, and the city of Portland and in the community. How we all work together to get things solved, and also get community engagement big time, and get community awareness, because a lot of community is not aware of what COCO or what COAB does, and we need to get out there and get the windows done. And that's where the Speakers Bureau come in at. So we discussed that quite a bit. And we also talked about the town hall meeting. We had some pretty good comments and pretty good feeling about the town hall meeting we had about a month ago. So we discussed that. And we discussed ways to keep this momentum going, because that was kind of a momentum shift in a positive way for everybody involved in this. That's the community who is number uno, and that's all of us who are the community. So we talked about that and how to maybe keep that kind of momentum going. And again, the Speakers Bureau mainly to get people out, go out to different parts of the community, different neighborhood associations, and talking to folks about what COAB is doing, what COCO is doing, what the city of Portland is doing, and what is the settlement agreement. And we talk about things of that nature. So, we've been pretty busy. Right now, we're at a point where the rubber is getting ready to hit the road. I mean, really hitting the road as it relates to community engagement, because I think, as you guys all know, this is one of the biggest pieces of everything is huge, but this is it, that in the community, without the community engaging, without the community knowing what's going on, and us working together, total, it's community of Portland, nothing's going to really happen, or nothing's going to change. So we all really got to work together on this and understand the goals of what we're all working for, because we're all working for community safety for all of us in this community, and all of us working together with police officers, school districts, citizens. We're all doing it together, and we want to make sure it get done right. So again, those are some things we talked about. We had a lot of good discussions, and the discussions is kind of, they're good. It's just, how do we do it? How do we get this done exact? And it's definitely not an exact science, but it's definitely doable. So we had a good meeting. No, that's just the update. And let me give a last word on this. At 7:30, I know you saw it on the agenda. At 7:30 tonight, 7:30, 8:30, we're going to have people who are interested in the Speakers Bureau stick around and talk about it some more and get some training and what have you on what we're doing or what we all can do.
And the Speakers Bureau, you're eligible to be on the Speakers Bureau if you're on the COAB or if you're an official member of a subcommittee. But the public is invited to stay and watch whatever we go through. Okay.
I just wanted to share. I'm also on. My name is Laquita Lanford, and I'm also on the committee on the Community Engagement Committee. And I want to say that from my experience over since the beginning of the year, I think after we've had our retreat and how we have been working more closer together and just having more understanding about the in our first going on our entered our second year, but being able to more get the community to be involved in the process that we have that is shaped for us out of the settlement agreement. I thought that the community engagement workshop went very, very well, and that we had a lot of participation at that in that space. I wasn't at the last meeting. I had something come up, but I agree with what Mr. Jimmy is talking about this evening on us really coming together as a community. And if we all want this to be a change, it has to be a fluent flow that happens with all of us. So thank you for coming out to those meetings, and thank you guys for being here tonight. It's really important that we continue to keep building off of what this momentum is and where it's going. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, chairs, for your reports. The next part is public comment. This is general public comment. And our first speaker is Mr. Walsh.
My name is Joe Walsh. I represent Individuals for Justice. I have, for the last few days, a terrible time with my voice, so forgive me if it goes up and down. I have very little control over it. Tonight, not far from here, there is a vigil going on for a man by the name of Keaton Otis. That's why some of the people, some of my friends are not here. My other friends are over at City Hall, because there's a budget battle going on. But I want to speak to you and those that are viewing this without keen notice. This is his 6-year anniversary. He was shot 23 times. He was tased by 3 other cops. And the reason all that happened was he was wearing a hoodie. That's the reason they pulled him over. He's African American and he's wearing a hoodie. I have hoodies all over the place. Never been stopped when I was driving. I don't drive anymore, too old. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that. It's the attitude. That's what we say to you. We say to you as committees, as organizations, as individuals, it's the attitude of your police department. You have to change that. I don't know how you do that. You can't do it by changing the police leader. You have to take out the entire command. I don't know how you do that and have it acceptable to the politicians aren't going to do that. It's suicide to do that. So we're stuck. And it's up to you to figure a way out. We put great emphasis, and we do thank you for your service. We do. And if we come here and we're upset, don't take it personally. I have people call me names daily. For 40 years they've been doing it. And I'm still here. Not very strong, but still here. So when we go after you as a group. We say do more. Because we are in trouble from the national level all the way down to Joe Walsh's house. We are in trouble. And we need creative people. We need good people. And one of the things, and I can say this straight out, be easier with each other. Because I'm very hard on people. I have to learn. And for my 74th birthday, which is 2 days, that's what I want. I became a vegetarian at 72. At 74, I will be more gentle. Thank you.
Happy birthday, Joe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Happy birthday, Joe.
I have Pat Adams as the next person. Nancy, have you decided you want to talk? Okay. But you're not next.
Thank you. For the record, my name is Pat Adams. I want to talk about something that I read in the agenda, the Seattle-based bias-free policing. I take nothing away from the entitled enlightened policies of the Seattle Police Department. I'd very much like to read about the results of their good work. However, I do want to discourage the notion of bias-free policing. I tried to imagine a bias-free policing event. I thought of a middle-aged white Christian conservative officer pulling over a middle-aged white Christian conservative citizen. Bias-free? Well, perhaps, but then I thought about positive bias versus negative bias, and the example faded. Seems we're always comparing and judging. It's the human condition. But I propose that we develop Portland Police Bureau policies based not on bias-free policing, but on bias-informed policing. Let's first acknowledge that we think and act, knowingly or unknowingly, out of our entrenched biases. That we knowingly and unknowingly create institutions and structures of bias. It comes to me that this COAB has an opportunity to speak out, to recommend changes in Portland police policy that would address one of the greatest injustices of our day. Changes that would stop sending African Americans to prison. I encourage you to consider the importance of such an opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Pat. Mike Schuman.
Hi. Mike Schuman, Portland Cop Watch. When this committee first got set up, I was really very hopeful and happy to see it, because having been around a long time and watched how the police events keep happening and police officers keep shooting people or abusing their situation, and they have a big uproar and nothing ever changes. And my thought is that this committee actually has the ability to change things. And I've been around here probably 4 or 6 months or something, and I've watched you work really, really hard and pass all kinds of directives, which I think ultimately, if they ever get adopted, will have the effect of making police accountable when they do bad things and starting to get rid of that certain minority of police officers that are just out of control. And then I came into, I think it was last meeting, and the Department of Justice lawyer was here, and somebody said, well, listen, we've passed 45 proposed directives, and have you looked at them? And she said, oh, yeah, I did look at those. And he said, well, what happened to them? Well, I don't know. I sent them to somebody in Washington, and that's about all I know. And you guys have worked for at least 6 months and probably a year putting these together, and it seems to me that there's a certain amount of disrespect coming towards you from the federal government and to some extent from the COCO, because they're not taking what you're doing seriously enough. And now the proposal is to send you out into the community and be speakers, and I think that can be a good thing if you don't go out into the community and say, here, we're taking a survey, what is it that has to happen in order for police community relations to be better? Because they always do that. They'll always say, we want relations to be better. We want the public to like us better. And that's not what needs to happen. What needs to happen is that the police department needs to change. So when you go out into the community, I hope Mr. Johnson and your committee and what your speakers say to you, you've done some excellent work on trying to change things, but they haven't accepted them. They've kind of shined you on at this point. And you need to tell the community and get that community behind you and tell the city and the Department of Justice to deal with the things that you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Handelman.
Hi again, Dan Handelman, Portland Cop Watch. I noticed there's nobody here from the Department of Justice tonight. Am I wrong? So there were some things I wanted to make sure they heard or discussed, but I'll have to convey it to them some other time. I was glad to hear subcommittee reports. It's something we've been hoping to hear for many, many months. It was a little unclear to people who aren't on the board exactly what was being discussed, though. So I think it shouldn't be so hurried, especially because you have an extra hour. Next time, be a little bit more clear about what you're talking about. Maybe allow some questions from the rest of the board to clarify, and announce when your next meeting is, so people can go. I was also going to be at the Keat Notice Vigil tonight. I heard this executive committee report. I understood that there was going to be a discussion about the ground rules and this silly filming area that is behind the backs of half the board. I'm hoping that discussion is going to happen and come back here. Yeah, it's over back there. So everybody here, your faces wouldn't be on camera if somebody had brought a camera to film you tonight. The Human Rights Commission, I don't know if you heard this, is taking a break for a couple of months. They're not going to fill the seat on your board while they're taking a break. I'm very disappointed in this. Our group, Peace and Justice Works, helped make that committee come back out of the ashes after a 10-year absence, and they're a very crucial part of this community. I feel like there's a lot of confusion because this board exists, and there's a lot of things people are saying are going to change, so they don't know what they're supposed to be doing. I think we should continue all the other work that's going on in the city. The Training Advisory Council considered some proposals about how to fix up training, some of which are repetitive of things that were mentioned in the COCL's report, but I don't know that they had a chance to actually discuss things with the COCL or with this body, and I'm hoping that there's more communication among you and the Training Advisory Council and other groups. I'm not sure if the Accountability Subcommittee is working on body cameras. I understand that there's a proposal to add $1 million in the budget for them, even though the police have not come up with a policy yet, and that they shouldn't be looking at buying those things until there's a policy that has been agreed on by the whole community and the City Council. I also went through, I told you last time, I think that you should be allowed to review the outcomes report and that there should be public commentary invited for it. I'm going to give you a few things until I run out of time of what I found. The highly hyped, I can't even remember what it stands for anymore, the SCT program, it only had 16% of the people graduate from it. Thank you. This Youth Services Division is the division that was mentioned in the semi-annual assessment report that had 2 cases of officers who triggered the threshold at the employee information system, but didn't review those officers. Well,
you can finish.
I have a lot more comments.
Oh, I was going to give you another half a minute, Dan.
Thank you. Okay, great. The review by the COCL about the accountability system is based on the way that the allegations were categorized by the Independent Police Review Division and Internal Affairs. But what we've seen month after month after month at the Citizen Review Committee is that those categorizations are almost always wrong. So they should be digging down to the actual complaint and seeing whether they match up. There are some specific stories that, if you haven't read the outcomes report, there are 3 specific case study stories that are in there that you really need to look at. And one of them involves an officer who was holding a flashlight in his hand while he was punching somebody in the face, and he was found technically within the policy, even though he gave weak reasons for holding onto the flashlight. He didn't want to lose it in the bushes. Anything else?
No, that's it. Thank you very much, Dan. I have Nancy Newell.
So my main concern today is the Speakers Bureau, mainly because I think some of the things that have been done, like race talks, where people are not talking from this direction and then the others should listen, that it was an engagement kind of process. And a Speakers Bureau, just by the nature of the name, sounds like, once again, you're speaking at the community rather than sharing the experiences and the opportunity to have people. You're reaching out in order to have people talk about the problems they're having in the community. So possibly change that name, I'm not sure. But, and also when you frame something like that, that can be very controversial in what you're speaking about and how you're speaking about it. So who makes those choices? And hopefully the community has quite a bit of input on that section. But one thing I'm very concerned about, over and over, the use of tasers is being used by the police in a very lackadaisical fashion. And the community is feeling this. I would really love to see something come out of the Speakers Bureau that addresses this serious problem, because CRC just had a video that I saw that an epileptic man was screaming his lungs out as he was being tasered by the police. And these are things that are visuals that people see in the community. And once you go out there, if you don't open up conversation about it, then you're not really solving a lot of the problems that you really want to solve right here. So those are my recommendations.
Thank you, Nancy. I have Mr. Charles Johnson.
Not going to squat this time. Thank you again, advisory board members. I think we'll jump to what Nancy said. I apologize to Mr. Johnson for not engaging more, but I think he actually has sort of in mind more of a listeners bureau, where members from the COCL and the COAB might go and briefly describe the work they do and then listen to what the community has to say about how that work dovetails with their vision of a just and fair community. there's another caveat about being the Speaker's Bureau is just being in this room and having to get clarification about BHU versus ABHU and CRC, which is totally unrelated to CPRC. And, you know, hopefully some of you are even lost. I hope you don't have all those acronyms stored in your brain, but you almost need a cheat sheet here. The HRC fills your CPRC seat. And for the people at home, what that means is that the 5 groups of citizen volunteers here, some of them came from the Human Rights Commission, which operates a community police relations committee or commission, and there's some cross-pollination through many channels, including the Department of Justice settlement. The CRC, which Nancy brought up with the unfortunate incident of the tasered epileptic person, which I think somehow that's a pretty tragic concern that didn't cross my radar since I've backed off a little bit from this CRC. But the Citizens Review Committee, which is the quasi-appellate body, I guess, for the IPR, the independent-ish police review in the auditor's office. Obviously, that's a lot for a person to go and speak about, and maybe they shouldn't. Maybe they should just say, I love Portland and the people. I volunteered for the Alphabet Soup job and Alphabet Soup volunteer unpaid job, and let's talk about what your concerns are, what makes you feel good about Portland Police, if anything, and what makes you feel bad about Portland Police, if anything. I don't know what other Alphabet Soup agencies are doing that, but Mr. Walsh raised the leadership, the position question, and that I'd heard but wasn't present, so I'll follow up with some of our fine Portland Police-related people in the back that at the last CRC meeting, all the Portland Police Bureau-related personnel left at the beginning of public comment. I'm glad they're diligently putting up with what I'm saying right now. And in closing, we have to echo the fact that we are 2 blocks west and a few blocks south of the place where Keaton Otis died from 23 bullets after being tasered. It's too much of a story to get into since I've used all my time. Obviously, the police have a side of the story about why they felt it needed to be escalated, even if not to that level. But the real reason we do this work is no more Kendra James, no more Jim Chassie, no more Aaron Campbell, no more Keaton Otis people in our future. Thank you.
Thank you. Beth Epps.
Hello, my name is Beth Epps. I'm the Chief Clinical Officer for Cascadia Behavioral Health Care. I am also a family member of persons who suffer with many issues around addictions. I am a family member of a person who died due to suicide, and I've done this work for about 40 years and know very well the nuances of providing services and being a family member of people who experience serious mental health challenges. So, but I'm really here today as also I'm on the Behavioral Health Unit Advisory Committee, which meets once a month and also reviews similar information to what you all are reviewing and makes recommendations. I attend the mental health subcommittee of this group. And I was part of the discussion that was held last week about the lack of respect and almost to point of aggression against not only police officers, but some of you all and maybe all of you all. It was a very disturbing conversation. As a community member, I'm very sorry you are experiencing that. I'm here to thank you for the work that you do, and as well as for the police officers, particularly those who are here supporting this effort. Just want to say that Cascadia Behavioral Health as a safety net organization stand beside you and very much appreciate the work that you do. Thank you.
Thank you. Courtney Robertstad. Did I say that right?
Yes, you did. Thank you. I'm also known as Courtney Shannon.
better known in this kind of forum that way. But how to better train the police department? It's almost laughable. Raise their IQ. Literally. Yeah, I know you're laughing, but seriously, if they score too high on the test, they don't get hired. I can't believe that. I know you don't believe that either. Look it up. Why not raise their IQ? If you've got a more intelligent police force, chances are you can have a better product in the end, and they're better able to deal with people. Hopefully they have a higher education as well. You never know. But police accountability. So many tests, as you mentioned, so many things are available to them, so many statistics that they spit out that aren't available to the public. Sadly, they're optional, along with so many trainings, like the mental health trainings, how to deal with people in crisis. It's optional, folks. It's optional whether or not they find out what a junkie looks like as opposed to somebody who's high on marijuana. It's completely optional. The police officers that I see wandering around town for such trainings looking for volunteers are from out of town. They're not even Portland. I asked the trainer a couple of times. I've run into them, stopped them and said, hey, what are you doing out here? And they're pretty honest about it. It's shameful. They're not even required to go do this stuff. I hope you guys can make a difference in getting that changed. Have a good night.
Thank you. David Keith Davis. Mr. Davis, if you're going to film, you need to be in the filming area.
I'll take a mic to you if you want to stand over there.
We'll give you a mic, Mr. Davis.
One thing I wanted to say,
Mr. Davis, we went through this the last time.
Definitely you need to raise the level of the IQ level of the police force. That's pretty blatantly obvious when they only hire
Mr.
low
Davis.
IQ people.
Mr.
But
Davis.
you're also going to have to raise the IQ level of Bud over here, who called me a white supremacist and said that I exclusively target black people with my camera
Mr. Davis,
when I'm filming.
I've asked you, please,
So
if you're going to
he
film.
called me a white supremacist skinhead who targets black people. Get up and film, Dex.
I don't think
He's here to film for me, so, you know.
If you are going to
No,
film, you
no,
need to
this
be
is
in
a
the
First Amendment
designated-
issue, and I'm
it is-
talking about a serious issue. Here you are trying to cover up a bunch of bullshit when I have a guy calling me a white supremacist skinhead who targets black people when I am a Jew who has kicked the shit out of fucking skinheads and knocked their fucking teeth out.
Okay, can you listen for a second? Because, listen, okay.
Skinhead, you little punk.
No, okay,
You need
so,
to be kicked off the COAB board.
first of all, everybody that you have a problem with is black. Everybody you have a problem with is black.
Can we please call a recess?
We have a recess.
Well, if the shoe fits,
oh my God. Fuck you.
Get out of here.
Go.
The meeting is recessed. The meeting is recessed.
Fuck you, you fucking lying, slanderous piece of fucking human garbage. And you want to know what? I get my housing through Cascadia. You know what? So I'm fucking mentally ill. And I don't need you to fucking slander me and bully me online, you fucking piece of fucking shit. I hear you. So fuck you, Bud, you fucking lying piece of fucking garbage, you piece of fucking shit. Yeah, I hear you. I don't fucking give a fuck. I care. He cares. A bunch of people fucking care. You don't care. Maybe you should be kicked off the board too then. Are you on the board? Well, go fly away. Fly away. Yeah. I don't like being called a white supremacist, okay? I'm a fucking Jew that's kicked the shit out of fucking Nazis and will continue to do that. I'm sorry. So fuck you, fucking Bud, you little fucking lying bastard piece of shit.
I think it's supposed to be over there with them.
Yeah, you're not in the filming area.
You're not in the filming area. Dad, go to your room.
I like the escalation in this moment.
Okay, what?
Okay, let's.
Yeah.
It's not now. What are you talking about?
Sorry, but that filming area is silly. We're not even doing any part of it.
Mr. Davis, Mr. Davis, Mr. Davis. I'm going to, if I can get a mic. Give me a mic. Mr. Davis, you are excluded from the meeting, along with the young man here with this camera. You're both excluded from the meeting. Please leave. I am asking you to leave this meeting.
Get the fuck out!
Fuck you!
Out!
Hey, Mr. What? You should be on my side too, asshole. Instead of kicking.
You know what? Lay off
Let those
me,
Democrats
Davis.
not happen.
Slanderous piece of shit
Leave.
fucking with mentally ill Jews.
You have.
Fuck you!
Oh my.
Okay, this is beyond me, guys. You know? This is beyond me. No, back to enter.
You're no better either.
Why are you picking on me?
Whoa, 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 whoa. Hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it, please.
Keep the camera running. We need to know how fucked up this organization is.
The cameras are running, there's no problem, and they will run. And we are going to come back, and we're going to sit down, and we're going to continue this meeting. Please, all COAB members, we're reconvening. Is he gone?
Holding this so hot moment together. I really appreciate it.
He's being sarcastic. I'll get out.
Hmm?
He's being sarcastic as all get out. He's like, I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, okay,
And he's
hold
on
on.
the subcommittee.
Who?
The gentleman in the suit over there with the glasses.
No, he's not on subcommittee.
Was that a sec?
He was at a meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I don't.
So who's missing still?
A number of people.
Okay. Let's kind of give it a few minutes and let them get back into the room.
Linda.
Probably isn't. But that was just like to sign up to allow him go that long.
We'll have to decide that. I don't.
Sit on this.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. I've been advised to wait until Mr. Davis and his accompanying person are off the premises before we reconvene.
Kathleen? Is
Yes.
someone coming to escort him off the premises?
That is, yep, that's the plan.
Would you like some soothing music?
What do you got, a lullaby?
This is good. This is completely out of hand and unnecessary. It's unnecessary.
Oh, I'm done. I'm done. I'm done.
Tim?
My voice is pretty big, but
Can I get a mic for him?
hello, 1, 2. Testing. Hello, 1, 2. Hello, 1, 2. Hello, 1, 2. Wow, something is going on. Oh. Maybe it's appropriate not to have a microphone. Hi. Oh, wow, it's working. Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody.
So please say your name.
So my name is Jiro, Jiro, and I like to say.
Last name?
Oh, for last name is Isetani, Isetani, Isetani. Oh, yeah, I can't spell. I can do only first name. Sorry about that.
So you have 3 minutes.
I can do Philip. That's I learned.
You have 3 minutes.
Okay. Oh, 3 minutes. Okay. So two things. One is I thought that was insider, outsider about acronym, like a COAB, COCO, lots of things. That was mildly hot spot. I thought that was a hot topic, but I saw way more hot ones. So now I think I need to be a little bit, white supremacists need to be a little more practiced. So how do I do? I use my power in a right way and wrong way by addressing non-representative figures, which seems to be impacting lots of people who are dead people who already passed, who lost lives. And these people are not quite represented. So, one part of me cannot. Of course, I'm not dead. I cannot speak for them. No, I'm not. But maybe somebody can represent, but maybe nobody. But maybe I try, and I just, it's kind of not quite real, but it's using my imagination. If my life is not quite here, the way I died was very dramatic and very special way, but I'm more detached and feels like a little more happier, and yeah, like that. So okay, maybe that's enough. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm going to take a 10-minute break. And in exactly 10 minutes, I'll call you back. Meanwhile, before we do that, I'd like to thank the board for a unified response to having the kind of chaos that just happened. Thank you very much for your intervention, for your concern, and for your willing to be present. Thank you. 10 minutes. Amy? Well, it will, because we're going to debrief a little bit, but let's see what we can do.
What do you mean? How do you know it'll take longer?
Philip?
I'll go find
Maybe Kathleen, I can start while we wait for Philip.
Is Laquita still here?
Kathleen, here, right here. Maybe I can start while we.
Well, I was trying to get everybody in the.
Oh, back before.
We got at least two more people that I hope can be here.
Yes.
I think Bud left, Maria left, Ime left. I think Catherine is still here. Her bag is still here.
Oh, okay, well, I am good.
Did you see Laquita out there?
No, I did not.
Okay,
I
is her
did for a
bag still
minute.
here?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so Laquita's still here somewhere. But we will start now. Okay.
Philip.
Philip?
Yes, thank you. I just want to comment. I want to apologize to the community members and COAB members and everyone who was involved in the meeting tonight for having to witness what occurred just recently before we went on break. I noticed that there's a Facebook page that's been established to shut down COAB and disband COAB. There are a lot of negative articles and comments on that Facebook page. I looked at it, and some of the people who were in this room established that Facebook group. It's basically accusing COAB members that we're doing nothing. And again, I just want to have a friendly reminder that we are volunteers. We're giving up our time. We're leaving our families, our jobs to come here and do this work. And we've been doing it for over a year now as volunteers. So I just want to, again, recognize that, that we're in this together to try to change for the community of Portland. And COAB, this has never been done in the country before. This is an experiment. If it's successful, it'll have a great impact on the rest of the country. And for this to happen, we need the community's support in this. We need your support. And in the future, if any person intentionally offends another member, I would appreciate it if the community members would stand up and just step in and work with us. And I think in the future, if that happens, if a person is doing personal attacks on another individual, that all COAB members should stand up and look away in silent protest. Just inform that person that that behavior is not okay.
Okay, I had some more hands over here.
And I just want to say that we're here to continue and keep up with the work. That's all I wanted to say.
Yeah, when we started this process back in February of last year, I think we all started with very clear ideals about where we thought we could go and what we thought we could do. Very quickly, as we dove into the work, we realized that there were some bureaucratic limitations, but that we could, through clear communication and active problem solving, that we could work through those. I think that there is a natural tendency that most human beings have to create an us and them. There's also this desire to always kind of establish an other. And I want to caution us around that. We here on the COAB are community members as well. We are mothers, we are daughters, we are friends, we are concerned citizens just like each and every one of you. And it is a great mistake to make any assumption otherwise. the language that we have been using, I wish all of you could have been at the Mental Health Crisis Subcommittee meeting last week, where we had a rich discussion, and there were about 15 community members there, some of who are in the audience today. And we were able to have a discussion about who gets to define community. What is community? And how have we defined it? And I think that the community that's been created here at the COAB meetings have in particular consisted of the folks who show up the most. But the folks who show up the most do not necessarily represent the whole of the community, although we have been very respectful and open and receptive to what has been said. The language and the way that we describe situations has been in many times aggressive, and that aggressive language then breeds aggressive behavior. So I'd like to also remind us that our words have power, and the way we use them, they could be for good or for harm. And I'm telling you that today should be a demonstration, if not any, that we have gone to a place that we should not have gone to and we don't want to go back to. We've had several members who have left because they don't feel safe. This should be about creating safety for one another to exchange ideas. We don't always have to agree on things, but there has to be some standard of how we exchange information and deal with each other. At this point, what has happened is unacceptable, it is unbearable, and most people will not come back to this table if that's how the community chooses to engage with another community entity, which is the COAB. So I am kindly asking that we really think about the work we've been asked to do here, how we talk to each other, the ways in which we engage, and make some active changes. The other thing I'd like to say is even when folks are making recommendations, the way that the information is perceived and is coming to us as though work is not being done, and that couldn't be further from the truth as well. I want to make sure that there's accurate representation. People come here, they give many hours, and we're not just sitting around the table looking at each other, but we're digging through policies and wrestling with things and making recommendations. And it's always easy to, as a spectator, to be on the sideline. I mean, I could tell Michael Jordan what he needed to do to make a three, or to tell Damian Lillard what he needed to do last night to make that three-point shot for them to make it to that sixth game. It's easy spectating to have a comment about what needs to happen. But when you are in it, it's vastly different. I just ask you to demonstrate a little bit of empathy for the folks who are here, and demonstrate a little bit more respect, because I have felt utterly disrespected. These are professional people with expertise. There has to be more respect, and without it, we can't do this work. There's a larger goal here, and we need everybody's help. It's completely unacceptable to allow Mr. Davis to disrupt this meeting this week and 2 weeks ago, and that cannot happen anymore.
Thank you. Tom?
I'm not a mental health expert, but I think sometimes interchanges we've seen involving the public or community members at meetings is a product of some of the same issues that we're supposed to be about. So sometimes when people are, and I'm not going to assign the word crisis necessarily, but sometimes when people are struggling to speak for themselves or speak for others, and they're maybe not as respectful as we would like, or they're not using words that we like, that doesn't mean that they aren't trying, or that maybe they're having problems. And so I personally find it distasteful that we aren't acting and speaking as respectfully and with the very de-escalation kinds of approaches that we are approving recommendations about and are preaching about. And I'm not suggesting there's easy answers, but tolerance needs to go both ways. And I think that and it's a different opinion. I don't think necessarily unity, meaning that the COAB stands up to someone who is, in my opinion, I'm not an expert, but is, if not in crisis, is struggling. And right or wrong about what he or others may say sometimes, that he's not the only one where issues have come up like that in meetings. I don't think we have necessarily responded or respected or listened the way that we're asking police officers to do. And it's kind of almost a lab kind of in a sense. And I believe me, I don't suggest I have answers because they're difficult situations, but just like we want the police to give time and space and respect and not come down on people, I think we have to be very careful to give that same sort of respect and time. And I'm not sure that we're doing that. And I just offer that. I'm not sure it's an alternative opinion or approach, but it's my sense that we're not necessarily as good at it as we might think we are.
Okay, I have a hand from Laquita and from Jimmy and from...
So what I hear you're saying, Tom, is that we need to accept this abuse from the community that has been inflicted on us time after time when we come to this table. Is that what I hear you're saying?
I'm not sure what you mean by abuse.
I don't.
People who have something to say.
Yes.
I don't know anything about the accuracy, and not picking on.
So when I'm in the community, when I'm at a rally, and I see that same behavior being, no one's doing anything. It's time after time. You're not in the community that I'm in the community when we're talking about community. So when we get verbally abused, cussed out, talked to at City Hall the way that this is supposed to be an engagement and something that we're doing together, but I didn't see you make a move. I didn't see you get up.
I don't think being confrontive was the right response.
This is turning into less of a discussion and more of a personal thing.
Well, it's not personal. You gave Alicia time to offer her perspective.
We're going to have another.
Mr. Johnson.
I'm going to get arrested. We're waiting for the police to come. I'm doing unauthorized filming here. This fustercluck is coming to an end. We're recessing. I'm doing illegal filming in violation of the rules. We're waiting.
This meeting is adjourned. This COAB, give me the mic, please, Tim. This COAB meeting is adjourned for this evening. Thank you very much. Thank you for your attendance. Thank you for your contributions.